Salut.
Kia ora. Kia ora te marino, kia whakapapa paunamu te moana, hei huarahi matatu I te rangi nei aroha atu aroha mai tatu ia tatu katoa huie taiki e. May peace be widespread, may the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for us all this day. Let us show respect for each other, for one another, bind us all together. Que la paix se répande, que la mer soit, comme la pierre jade, un chemin pour nous tous aujourd'hui. Respectons-nous l'un envers l'autre, pour chacun, soyons unis. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to Arrow FM this morning. I thought I'd start with a karakia. It's my first one, so I still need to work on the pronunciation a little bit. Welcome to Inspiring Communities. My name is Geraldine from the Wairarapa Women's Centre, and every month I present this radio show to share with our Wairarapa community and beyond. Indeed, this show travels to the around the world, and I use the third language for the karakia today, which is French, not because I'm trying to make it a national language for New Zealand, but I've got a cousin in France who's been listening to the show last month, and he asked me to do it in French, so I thought I'd do just a little tiny bit for him. So yes, it's great because it means some other people will be listening to this show and learning about what goes on in New Zealand, the wonderful things that we do here. So feel free to make some requests if, for those who are listening today. If you want requests of anything that needs that you'd like to be said on the show, or if you want to join and tell us what you're doing to inspire your the local community, that would be wonderful. So we've got some wonderful initiatives and work that are being made in the region, and we want to hear from them. I would also like to thank Michael Wilson at Arrow FM, who trusts me to run this show. That's really good to be here and run it. I really enjoy it. Last month we had Bridie Allen talk about Down syndrome, the Down Syndrome Association and the support of for Down syndrome in the Wairarapa. And today it's a different topic. It's about a hot topic, which is climate change. This month is actually Plastic-Free July, so I don't know how everybody is getting on. It's kind of a little bit challenging. I'm trying to do it, and I struggle with certain items that, I still feel like we need to purchase, and it still has plastic, so it's quite tough. So yes, we'll be talking about climate change. So I would like to welcome three ladies from the Wairarapa. They've worked together to produce a book, which is also great to hear about collaboration and their collaborative work and the way they work together. So I believe this book, by the end of the show, we'll all go and get it. It's a must-have if you live in the region and care about the quality of your present and future life, as it is about celebrating a climate activist and community champion in our region. So with me today I have Catherine Cooper, Ali Foster and Helen Dew. Welcome to the show. I believe you all make an impact in our local community in different ways. So I would love to hear from you, and maybe if you could give a brief introductions about yourselves and the different hats that you wear in the community. So maybe if we start with Helen, because I met Helen first at the Carterton market. I think you're there pretty much every week. So yeah, and I here you've got a passion for gardening as well, which I've been to some of your workshops, so seen and experienced.
Yeah, thanks, Geraldine. Well, yes, I do have a passion for gardening, and yesterday when we met, it was at the Carterton Farmers Market, which is part of the Winter Festival, and so that was a big event, and there was crowds of people. So the Winter Festival is an ongoing thing for this community. People from all over coming, and it was great to meet you there. So but I guess the various hats I wear have a common factor, and that is my concern about climate change. I've got lots of wonderful children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and I'm concerned about what state the planet will be in for them, for their future. So that's really the primary purpose for all the things that I get myself involved with. So, and the workshops that I do, that is part of my work to, so I guess, encourage food security, because the way we feed ourselves as a species is pretty unsustainable, really, with most people relying on the supermarket for just about everything that they eat. And that, by the way, involves a lot of plastic very often. And so that's another way we can reduce our use of plastic, is by carefully selecting what we buy and looking at what we can do ourselves. So, when you think about where our food comes from, if you go back to the seed, for instance, it may be produced overseas, and that involves agriculture using diesel for the farmers producing the seed, and then the seed has to be got to New Zealand and then distributed here, and there's a very, very long chain of freights and distribution. And so, and that's just even dealing with the seed, let alone the produce. And then when the farmer does produce a product, some produce that gets to the supermarket, well, it's only the perfect, of course, that goes to the supermarket. Well, if I pull a slightly bent carrot out of my garden, I'm not going to chuck it away because it's bent, It's good food. And so, and it's also good quality, and
Absolutely.
No food miles involved in getting that onto my plate, and I save a lot of seed as well. So that's I guess something that I would like to encourage a lot of people to do. And so I enjoy the workshops. I teach about the gardening side of things, producing your food, but also about compost making and seed saving and pruning and all that sort of thing as well. So lots of people have come and enjoyed it, and you've been along too, Geraldine. So.
Yes, I have. I've been to your to a gardening workshop about the seeds, actually, and that was extremely interesting, because I had never actually. I had done the drying of leaves and making tea and things like that, but actually drying of seeds and then reusing them and replanting them, I hadn't done that before. So I've actually managed to do that on coriander, and I'm watching my coriander grow now from the seed, and it's really exciting. And spinach as well. And then I've done the pruning workshop as well with you. So
good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, I can talk about some of the other organisations that I belong to as we get on through the interview today.
Absolutely. But, I mean, like you said, it is really hard to not get plastic in the supermarket. But once you start really thinking about it and thinking about getting your own produce made as much as you can or buy local, then you really reduce your waste.
Well, you see, that's where the connection is with the farmers market. You see, if you've got limited capacity to grow your own produce, then you think about, well, where else can you get it? And it's not necessarily a straight line to the supermarket. Well, what about working in with your neighbours? Sometimes they've got surplus and sometimes you have surplus. So that's all part of building up your neighbourhood support, which is a wonderful thing. And then then a person could go to the farmer's market. Well, that's local food, locally produced, and helping people who are trying to work on the food security side of things locally. And so there's usually a small carbon footprint, and it's usually spray-free as well. And so that's another saving. And then when you eventually do get to the supermarket, well, think carefully about what you really need. Is it a want or a need? And look at where it comes from, and the waste involved, and how it's packaged, and that. So just become a more conscious consumer.
Absolutely. Great. Well, welcome, Helen. Okay, well, we've got Ali as well. Ali, welcome on the show. Would you want to tell us a little bit about you and your involvement in the community?
Well, I've worked for many, many years as a teacher aide through primary, intermediate and secondary schools, and that's obviously a high involvement with young people, and I really enjoy working with them and getting their ideas and sort of maybe guiding them along. And along with that, I've had a lifelong dream. I had a lifelong dream to write children's picture books, and started when I was about 16, and I did a few, and then that sort of got put on hold while I went out and just lived life until I had my own children, and I sort of got a bit more serious about it, and finally got published at the age of 50, so it was a very long apprenticeship. But the stories that I really particularly love doing are anything to do with nature, conservation, or in this case sustainability. Local stories I really love doing. It's always hard to get them published, but I think we've still got a lot of local stories around in the Wairarapa. And along with that, I live out at Matahiwi, just 10 k's west of Masterton, with my husband, on a property. We've been there a long time, well over 30 years, and we raised our 3 kids there, and it's just been a real treasure and a privilege to live there. And over the years, we have slowly, or more quickly in the last few years, developed it as a sort of a permaculture, food forest and market garden sort of thing. It's a bit of a combination of all those 3 things, and it's organic. It's been spray free for all the time we've been there. And my husband in particular, Gary, he does permaculture plans for people who might have a bit of land and don't know what to do and how to start and how to plant a food forest, and he's got the knowledge there to help them along and do a plan for them. And sometimes people come out just to see what we do there and how it operates, and that's basically what we do there.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you two eat from your garden rather than the supermarket.
Yeah, Gary does most of it, but I'm sort of the noxious weed controller.
Fantastic, brilliant. Although there are lots of weeds you can actually keep in your garden, healthy for the garden.
But things like convolvulus and arrowhead lily, you can't really eat those.
True.
So you get rid of them.
Definitely, brilliant. Well, welcome as well, Ali, and obviously we'll be looking forward to hearing about your latest book shortly. And Catherine. Hello, Catherine. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and your impact on the community, your involvement in the community?
Sure. So at the moment my main hat is being a mum, so I have a little boy who's 2.5. It's my primary hat. But my background is as a writer, so I grew up in Canada and moved to the Wairarapa about between 5 and 10 years ago. It was a process to move here, and since then have continued to write, and I really love to get people together around writing or creativity, so I really love to create community around writing and to create support for people who are writing, I guess, because it can be quite an isolating thing. And I also am a writing coach, so I help people write usually memoirs. And I kind of caught the permaculture bug from Gary and Allie while we were living at their place when we first moved here, and have become really interested in that, and specifically as it relates to social ecology. So in the past 2 years, really since my son was born, I've become really interested, maybe even obsessed with the idea of co-housing and collective housing, different ways of living together. And so I started the Co-Housing Wairarapa group and have been advocating for, and also just trying to support and bring people together around the idea that there are alternatives to our current housing system, and they're not for everyone, but that there's a real need for a third tier in between the state housing or government housing and market housing, and obviously that ties in very much to concern around the housing crisis. So that's become my main focus in my writing and also just in my life recently.
Okay, great, fantastic. Well, welcome as well on the show. And today we really want to talk about the book that you will be presenting at YWord on the 8th of August. Can you tell us a little bit more about YWord, Catherine?
Sure. So I've been on the board of YWord for a few years now, and YWord organizes, I think it's been for 12 years. So it was started by Madeline Slavic, and they're a monthly series of readings and talks relating to writing and words. Mm-hmm. It's on the first Sunday of every month. Usually on the first Sunday of every month. So this one, where YWord is co-hosting our book launch for Good For You Helen Do, and that is going to be on the second Sunday of the month, so it's a bit unusual. But usually it's first Sunday of the month, and it's just a great series that brings a lot of amazing authors and a lot of amazing topics to our community. So
yes, I hadn't heard of YWord until earlier this year, actually. So it's been going on for quite a while then.
I think 12 years, yeah.
Wow, okay. So fantastic. And every month is a different theme or a different speaker. Yeah. Great. So we'll look out for YWord. So the next month you're going to be presenting your book, and that's going to be on the 8th of August. And I'm just going to show now the event information, but we'll also be having a little music break. So we've chosen one that Catherine chose. It's Society. So I'll just put it on now.
Less is more, but if less is more, how you keeping score? It means for every point you make, your level drops. Kinda like you're starting from the top, and you can't do that. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, have mercy on me. I hope you're not angry if I disagree. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely
Right. Okay. Back on. So, Catherine, do you want to tell me, you chose Society, that was the one you chose, the song. Do you want to tell me why you chose that one? Why did you send me this particular one?
That was the first song that came to my mind when you asked us for songs that were somehow connected to the themes of the book. Because, that song is about, well, I think it starts, it's a mystery to me, we have agreed on which we have agreed. And it's all about not using more than you need, basically.
Yes.
Big theme in the book about Helen, so that's why I chose that.
Brilliant, thank you. Yes, no, definitely. I mean, there's some lovely lyrics there. If you really listen to them, it's a good message to society and the things that we overconsume. So I understand, Catherine and Ali, you've been working on this book and you'll be presenting it on the 8th of August at the Y Word. Is this your first book together?
It's our first one together. Yes.
It's our first one together, and it's my first time writing a children's book. So Ali was my mentor because she's written lots of children's books.
Yeah.
But it's not your first time collaborating, is it?
It is on the writing. On the writing it is. You know, when you do a picture book, you collaborate really. Well, you don't collaborate. The illustrator comes along and takes your words and takes their slant on it, which is really good, because sometimes you come up with something extra that you'd never thought of and something much better that was in your mind. So you don't really collaborate. So this is really my first time collaborating. Yeah.
Fantastic. How do you actually work together on a book? How does that work?
It's a really interesting process. I think it worked really well because we were honest. Do you agree, Katie?
From the beginning we decided on the premise too was that our friendship is more important than this book. So the process matters, that we wanted to, and I think it was actually really easy. Yeah,
it was. We got together. Well, first of all, actually, we interviewed Helen. We got Helen and got to know Helen even better, so that, because I think that was our research really, because the research I find in picture books and probably any type of writing is so important, because you take in so much, you learn so much, and you only use a fraction of it in a picture book. You only use a tiny fraction of what you've actually done in your research, but you've learned a lot through that time. So first of all, we talked to Helen about her life and her thoughts and what she felt strongly about. Obviously we knew that already, but then we kept getting together, and it worked quite well. At the time, Katie was living in Carterton, and we'd walk up this road, a rural road, and we'd just chatter the whole way, and come back, and we'd get ideas, and we'd get words, and we'd get this and that, and we sort of sparked off each other, and that was fantastic. And then we got to the slightly more difficult stuff. You can say.
What was the more difficult stuff?
Well, just when one of or the other of us wanted to really hang on to something, and the other said, "Nah, that's not working." The other one said, "Yeah, I really, really, really want to hold on to that." So it was the collaboration thing was a big learning curve for me.
I think that was another thing that thing about not wanting to have any. I think we were, because we made that deal from the beginning, like, we're not going to let this collaboration get in the way of our friendship. Then that meant that it didn't happen. There wasn't actually really conflict, but there definitely were some differences of opinion. But what I also really loved that we had this kind of, when we started, another agreement was that we wouldn't be too precious about saying what we thought. So I think you can spend a lot of time in a collaboration if everybody's very carefully saying, "I love that idea," but instead that we could just be like, "No, not that. What about this?" To do that more efficiently, I guess, and not and just be able to be almost like the voice in each other's head, that when you have an idea and you want to question that idea, you don't take 10 minutes to carefully
pussyfoot around
exactly.
it.
You can just
we were quite direct, but it was a good directness, I think, and it worked really well for us. So it's been a really good example of collaboration and great learning for any future collaborations in any sort of way, I think, for me anyway.
And I don't even remember what the compromises were. Like, there were things that we really strongly disagreed on, but always one or the other of us would come around and say, "Okay, we and I don't even remember what they were."
No, I can't either. They can't have been too huge.
No, and I think it makes it much stronger in the end if you have to, if every idea that you, and especially I think with a picture book, every word is so important. because there are so few words. So I think it's really helpful to actually collaborate, because it means that you have the benefit of two minds kind of refining it.
Yeah, and while we're both very different people, I loved Katie's energy that came to it, because when you're doing something like that, to have someone bouncing off with the creative energy is fantastic, because you don't always get that as a writer, because you're in your own little bubble, in your own little world, and to be bouncing off an idea like that with your writing with someone else was really great for me.
Right, fantastic. What I really liked is the first thing you said about it being easy, because it might inspire lots of other people listening to start writing and give it a go, and the work the working together and the bouncing ideas, again, it being something enriching is another great.
To me the writing is the easy part. I always find the writing the most fun of all and the easiest. It's not always easy, because it doesn't always come the way you want it, but the hard part probably for most writers is promotion, and if you go down, luckily we've had this book published by Duck Creek Press in north of Auckland, and that's been fantastic, because they do a lot of the work that if you were self-publishing you'd have to do yourself, and for me I find that quite a struggle to self-publish. Other people probably do it really easily, but I'm always very grateful to have a conventional publisher on board.
Okay, so how do you get, that was my next question, how do you get your book published?
You get a lot of rejections usually. The number of rejections I've got over the years are huge, but to me that's all part of the apprenticeship, and you learn what you did wrong and what you could do better, and sometimes it's just really good, just luck and timing, having the right, a good quality piece of work at the right person at the right time, and once you get in a relationship with a publisher too, it's really important, I think. It makes you feel quite good that someone's trusted you, in this case 3 times in a row for 3 books, and it's like, well, hey, that's okay, that's pretty good, but it is hard. It's in no way is it easy to get a conventional publisher, and the number of publishing houses in New Zealand seems to be dwindling all the time, and because maybe in part because a lot of people are self-publishing, or it's just a hard market. It's a hard market to get into.
Okay, well, I'll just put on again the date of this of the event, which is on the 8th of August, and we're just going to have another music break. This time we're going to have a piece of music on waste, just to keep on the theme.
Every star in the twilight across the skyline stay bright, and I follow them back to sunshine. When I was a little kid, I liked to catch the rain. While my friends around the town let it flow right down the drain. But our tiny house in the trees had one thing that we drank. Every drop that we had saved in our rainwater tank. 'Cause there's no such thing as waste, only stuff in the wrong place. No, there's no such thing as waste, when we treasure every trace. Moved to the city, rented a house on my way to buy a bed. Saw one lying on the side of the road, so I took that one instead. And I also found a fridge, a couch, and a big old sewing machine. With the biggest pile of thrown out stuff that I had ever seen. But there's no such
Okay, we're back. I'm having a few technical problems today. Sorry about that. We had two music going on, but I hope you heard the main one was the one we wanted. We still had Eddie Vedder thing in the background. But yeah, we wanted to focus on that waste one. I hope you still all got to enjoy that. And that was chosen by you, Ali, the song. So where did you find it? I thought I actually listened to some other songs that he was this group wrote. I can't remember the name.
Formidable Vegetable
is
the name of the group. They're an Australian group, and they're very popular in our house. And I thought that song was totally embodied Helen, actually. To me, that song is all about Helen and her philosophies on life and sustainability. And I just love that it's fun. It's a fun song.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you can attract people with a jaunty little beat or something like that, and they start listening to the lyrics, and it's, oh yeah, what's this about? So yeah, Formidable Vegetable.
Yeah, brilliant. They've got more songs, and they're all really kind of catchy and rhythmic, and
and they walk the talk. They live in Australia, and they basically they do walk the talk, and they're very pro everything in sustainability and the way they live their lives.
Yeah, if you look at the videos, actually, you can see that they're doing that as well in the videos. So we're gonna talk about the book now. Looking at the book, I know that on the event on the 8th of August, Catherine, you're going to be running a creative challenge. Is that right, or is it pre-event as well?
It's pre-event, so yeah, we decided to challenge school kids, so that would be, any school-aged child, it says here, to create artworks reflecting on what they can do to be kind to our planet. So the artwork can take any form. It can be poetry, stories, drawings, sculptures, but they have to be small enough to be held in one hand easily, and they have to be made only from reused and recycled materials. And then the young artists can bring their artworks to the launch, and they'll be displayed there, and then every young artist will be entered into a draw to win a prize.
Yeah, great, fantastic. So you need to get creative now. Over the holidays is a good time to probably do it. Find all the bits and bobs of waste that you have, and put it all together, and bring it to the event on the 8th. And again, it will be great to see what the children come up with. It's quite amazing when you give them something, what they come up with. I'll certainly get my son onto it. He can be quite creative, so I'll let you know. So looking at the book is called Good For You, Helen Dew, and I'm going to just put it up there. Got it? There we are. Not these two. Thank you. So how did this come about then? How did you three ended up working on this book together?
Well, Ali mentioned that she and I used to go for walks a lot. When my son was little and in a pram, we would often walk him up and down it's actually Hilton Road. I'll give it away, which we called the Fertile Strip, because we always get lots of ideas when we were walking up and down there. And I think that this idea to do a book about Helen Dew came to us when we were walking there one day.
I think it was. I can't remember. It seems to be so long ago, but it was definitely work. And when we get an idea, we suddenly go, "That's it!" and that was we thought that was the idea was a winner, and the title was a winner, and we'd be celebrating Helen. So. Yeah.
So Helen is a person who I think everyone knows, or if they don't know Helen, I think she's sort of the first person that most people know when they come to the Wairarapa, and she was the first person that I met actually on Skype, because we were looking for a place to live, and my mom put out an email to some friends asking about places to live, and Helen contacted us and Skyped with us, never having met us, and was just so kind and so helpful, and actually invited us to stay with her until we found a place. So that kind of tells you a lot about Helen Dew, that she's just a really community-minded person, and a real champion in our community, in the Carterton community and in our wider community. And we just wanted to celebrate her, really.
Yeah, brilliant. And what is the book about? If we
Well, it's about all the things. Well, actually, on the blurb on the back it says, our everyday choices can have a big impact on our planet. What to buy, what to wear, what to eat, what to do. Helen Dew has some great ideas. How about you? So it's encouraging children, young people and their families and their parents and their grandparents, actually, because it's parents and grandparents who often read the book to the children, encouraging them to think carefully, as Helen was saying, before they buy something, before they do something, with everything they do, think, oh, is there a way I can do this more sustainably? And very often there is, if you stop and think about it, if you don't rush in. I've actually got a pair of shoes that I call my Helen Dew shoes because I love them dearly, and I had them probably for about 6 years, and they were wrecked and they were holes, and I was wearing them to work and they had big holes in them along the sides. And I thought, I love these shoes so much. I went to the bootmaker over the road and he fixed them, and they're fantastic. So they're my Helen Dew shoes. I haven't got them on today, but I'll wear them to the launch.
At our house, Helen Dew is actually a verb, so we say we're going to Helen Dew something if we're going to fix it or reuse it.
You've become a verb, Helen.
In some ways, I don't know what the fuss is about, because it's just the way I am. It's what I do. It's my approach to life, and I've always been very frugal and very connected with the earth. Yeah. In fact, looking at the cover of the book, if I was drawing that again, or if the illustrator was, I'd have Mother Earth with her arms around me as well as my arms around her. Yes, because, this wonderful earth has sustained me and all the people that I've met. I've got my whole life is just populated with amazing people, including these two lovely ladies. It's just this wonderful. It's one of the things that I noticed too about the Carterton Farmers Market. I meet so many wonderful people and make the connections there. Often new people coming into the district, and they love the sense of community that seems to be, something that attracts them to Carterton. And the Carterton community is a little bit like my extended family. Yes. Yeah.
Well, when we arrived here in New Zealand, my husband and I were kind of wondering where we would end up living, and we had a family on the Kapiti Coast and family in the Wairarapa, and we chose the Wairarapa because it kind of reminded us more about the kind of lifestyle we'd had aspired to go towards, and we'd lived in the Pyrenees just before that for a few years, and it's exactly the same kind of movement going on there, where it's about respecting the earth and working with the earth, permaculture, and growing your own and consuming a lot less, and since making that move away from the town life, we just can't see ourselves living in a town again, because you do get, it's not from things that you get your happy soul going. So mainly the impact then of the book I was going to ask you, but I think you probably answered that question, Ali, that you're trying to really kind of talk to the parents and the grandparents.
Very much so, because the kids will take their cues from the parents, what the parents do. And sometimes the other way around, kids will come home from, they've learnt something at school or somewhere, and they can influence the parents very much so. And I like to think that maybe they might influence the parents if we can get them all gardening, and they say to the parents, can we make a garden out the back there? And the parents might not have done it, but because the kids are showing an interest, it might get the parents into it. So it can be a two-way thing. The kids can influence the parents, but the parents can influence the kids too in a positive way.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's have another music break on the theme again, so to get everybody again energized with this fantastic theme of looking after ourselves, our environment, and our everyday life and our future. So just going to put that on. Hopefully I'll get this song playing to the end and on its own. Okay, so that was we need to build a better future, and I think we want to adapt this as a Wairarapa song. I've heard during the break here. Is that right, Ali? You want to?
I think it would be fantastic if we could somehow. It's very easy, very simple lyrics for the chorus, and I think if everybody got onto it and started singing that in gatherings of this type coming up, like with our launch, I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
It would really get people going.
Yeah, it's really catchy. We need to find. Maybe we need to talk to the local community choir and get them on board and get them to sing with on the event.
Yes, that would
be
wonderful.
Looking at that.
Yeah.
So yes, we've talked. So just going to put the book back on, because we talked a bit about the book and Helen mentioned the illustrations earlier, and I think it is more than just the two of you, the three of you working on this. We've got a fourth person. So do you want to tell us?
Yeah.
That's the illustrator.
Yeah.
Who wants to tell us about the illustrator?
Well, I think personally, when we found that Nikki Slade Robinson was going to be the illustrator, David Ling, by the way, from Duck Creek Press is the publisher. And when I found out that Nikki was going to illustrate, I was just thrilled. I knew it was going to be fantastic. Whatever she did was going to be great. She's very experienced. She's had many books. She's illustrated and both written and illustrated herself. She's just had one, I think, translated into Italian, which is a big thrill. And yeah, she did it, and I was lucky enough to get her to illustrate the one before this book called Sam's Bath, and I was just so happy with the result. I just couldn't have asked for more. She's a very talented and well-respected New Zealand illustrator. Yeah.
Fantastic. So can't wait to see the inside of this book, I have to say. Just before we finish the show, just wanted to ask you a few more questions. Helen, you've been obviously a well-known person in the region for quite a long time, so your love of gardening and influencing the communities, and I understand you're involved in other associations, so can you tell me a little bit about?
Well, I am. Back in 2003, I went to a community currency conference in Germany, and it was representing Living Economies and Educational Trust, and we look at the whole issue around money creation and the system that we bring money into being is seriously flawed, and it causes so much damage, environmentally, socially, and economically. And we keep repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. It's time we woke up, and communities are waking up now, which is great. So that's my national sort of hat that I wear. And we recently hosted Living Economies National Hui in Carterton, and it was a fantastic event. But more locally, Resilient Carterton is a group that I initiated some years ago, and that led to the creation of a working group called Karpai Carterton. And at one of their events last November, I promoted the idea of starting a Carterton currency, something that would be as familiar and easy to use as flybys or any of those things that we're quite familiar with, and it would be very effective. And so I have a working group now working on that as an idea, making great progress. One of the group members is a filmmaker, and so we're going to make an 8 to 12 minute documentary about what's wrong with the current system briefly, but then the great benefits that will come once we've adopted and got this Carterton currency going. And we thought we'd start on Carterton, but it'll something that can sort of flow out like pebbles in a pool and cover a much wider area and be replicated elsewhere. So that documentary will probably be ready about the end of September, somewhere around there. And so it's an interesting process to be part of, yeah. And so
how would the currency work?
You see, there's lots of different models. I mean, you've got green dollars, you've got time banking, you've got digital currencies now. I went to an event in Wellington some weeks ago called the Money Lab. Well, it blew me away. All the different software that's available now, partly as a result of the blockchain technology. I'm not talking about Bitcoin, which is horrible, but the blockchain technology that underpins Bitcoin is terribly useful, and that's being used in all sorts of creative ways. You see, over in Cannons Creek, they've launched a 6-week pilot project called the Cannons Creek currency, and so that's an interesting experiment, and I think it's something that we can all learn from, and possibly adopt that or some modification of it. But there's, we can use vouchers, which have wonderful promotional, illustrative possibilities, or a combination of any of these things. And so you see, the big thing with using the national currency is that there's so much leakage from the district, because when we use the national currency, it circulates a little bit locally, but then eventually it ends up in some overseas bank, and the profits leave the town, leave the district, leave the country. And so when we create our own currency, one of the great features of it, by the way, is there's no interest involved, which is a huge benefit. But it circulates round and round and round, and all the wealth generated from a local currency stays local. And it connects the businesses and businesses with the community and organisations, and you're building community, and that's what Carterton's good at. So I'm highly excited about that. And built into that is food security and care of the planet. So all those things can be spin-offs from starting a local currency. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for the film to come out. The other thing that is coming up too for me is that Conservation Week is in September, and Carterton District Council, the climate officer there, has invited me to be co-presenter with Greg Hart, who's doing regenerative farming, and I'm doing regenerative community. And so we will have that event at the Carterton Event Centre on the 3rd of September. And so, and we've got wonderful resources. For instance, for the local currency, there's this book, Local Money. What difference does it make? And this is available as a PDF. And so I've got lots of people reading that. And so we're prepping the community. And then this book, I've just got this book. Oh, it's marvellous. Utopia Rising. And it's got a critique there by Deirdre Kent on the donut economy, which a lot of people are quite inspired by. But there's one or two things that need a little more attention in Kate Raworth's work, and so Deirdre Kent has pointed out those things. There's one of the chapters there is on pyrolysis, a way of converting old tyres and plastics into reusable energy again. And there's some really good things happening. There really is. So it's an exciting time to be alive.
Brilliant. Excellent. So, you really see lots of solutions for the future. And
I do. I mean, there's some worrying things happening as well. Yeah. The oil producers want to keep producing more oil, and we can't afford to burn it if we're going to have a planet that's livable. And so, there's structural changes are really, really necessary as well. But you see, politicians won't make the necessary moves at the scale and the speed we need unless they feel that support from underneath. And so that's my focus is mainly on, while I do what I can for structural change at those top levels, it's bringing the community on board so that then the politicians have the confidence to go ahead and do what's necessary and go hard and go early.
Fantastic. Well, really, I feel really refreshed. I don't know about you all, but about the prospect of a healthier future and all this positivity today about bringing it on. So that's great. So thank you. I think it's going to be time for us to finish our conversation today. I'd love to carry on, but so thank you very much for your time today, Helen and Catherine and Ali.
Thank you.
Well, people are most welcome to get in touch with me. They can have a look at my Facebook page, Garden for Life, or look up my Living Economies website, www.livingeconomies.nz, or I'm in the phone book.
Yes, I'm sure if we type Helen Dew on Google, something will come up, and Carterton. See you on the 8th, or they can come and see you at the market, even better.
Yes. Yeah, the farmers market is every second and fourth Sunday.
Yes.
In Carterton.
Yeah.
So through the winter, and then we
Yeah.
start weekly again in
In the
September.
summer. Okay, brilliant. So see you all on the 8th, if not before. Thank you, Arrow FM, for trusting me to host the Inspiring Community and for you all to listen. Remember that I'm keen to hear from you if you have something you want to share with the community about something that you do, a good deed that you do. You just need to drop a line on the Arrow FM Facebook page or the Wairarapa Women's Centre Facebook page, and we'll be in touch. So thank you very much. Have all a good week, and I'll see you all next month.